Well, hey, I'm Rebecca Folks, happy homemaker, mom to 4 busy kids, and online entrepreneur. I've spent over a decade in this space working with high-achieving, high-performing women who carry the weight of juggling all the things. After many ups and downs of creating balance between home life, work life, and a million kid activities too, I learned how to slow down to actually accomplish more of the important things. I believe in all the to-doing, there are deep spaces in women's hearts that are sacred to us. Conviction in our identity, hospitality around our tables, and that quiet strength that only comes when we lay our head down at night, confident we're doing a good job where it matters most. Consider this a melting pot of wisdom learned over the years. From homemaking and wellness to influencing and marketing, we're diving into the topics that have created more peace, more joy, and in the end, more margin in my business and my life. Welcome to Wide Open Spaces. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode in our Boss Babe series. And when I knew we were going to kind of highlight some women in business and business owners, Brandy Harp was one of the first names that I thought of because of her commitment to excellence in real estate, but she also had a really successful, almost 20-year career in corporate America with Alltel, and seeing her make a huge pivot from the safety and the kind of the corporate ladder where she was seeing a lot of success and move into building one of the most successful real estate agencies in Arkansas. And she is someone that I have gone to as a mentor in business, as someone that I just respect on so many levels. And I think what's really incredible about Brandy is she's able to do all that she is in the marketplace, as well as being at every ball game and being someone that's so present in conversations and someone that has a great marriage and is able to find just balance and harmony in so many different areas. And while, again, like the theme that we're seeing, admitting, yeah, there's struggles and challenges and obstacles, but being committed to stewarding well the things that are before her. And hearing her story today just made me love her more. And I think you're going to feel the same. So listen in on Wide Open Spaces. Well, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited about today's guest because when I think about women of excellence, women in business, boss babes, if you will, I'm thinking of Brandy Harp. And I told y'all a little bit about her in the opener, but Brandy, I am so excited that you are spending some time with us this morning. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It is such an honor. I got to watch Katie Reese's and I absolutely love her.
Yes.
And to follow, I mean, wow. Like I am so honored to be here. So thank you.
So sweet. Okay, Brandy, when I think about everything you've accomplished, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like you are just someone that is killing it. And what's fascinating is you have done it in several different arenas. And I would you just kind of tell a little bit of your kind of professional story and what the last, I won't give a number, well, last few years have looked like in your business career?
As I get older, I am awful. I think in my brain, I just block out like my age even.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I give the wrong number. And Richard says, did you do that, my husband? Did you do that on purpose? And I really consciously am actually no longer really great about keeping time.
Yeah.
So I do, when I look back on my career, my work career, I've had 2 jobs in my whole life.
Okay.
So my first one, I started at Alltel, fresh out of high school. I did not know what I wanted to do in my life, but I knew I was called to do something. And I was on a journey to figure out like, what is that? And what does it look like? I actually really was passionate in my family. Everybody really thought that I would play basketball in college. And I was a big time basketball player.
You are just an achiever across the board.
I love sports. I honestly had, my dream was, if you would have asked me when I was young, like, people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was the wife of a basketball coach. and I was going to be living in a gym, and I wanted to be around that sport my whole like adult life. That was my dream when I was a little small girl.
Well, this is explaining your excitement at the football games.
Oh,
that is completely genuine. You are, it is real. Okay.
It's real.
Got it.
It's very real. I love to cheer for teams, and I love to cheer for people that, you know, I have a connection to. So when I graduated my senior year, I had an injury, and my body was really tired from grinding. And going from basketball camp to basketball camp, and playing AAU ball, and like my whole world, I didn't realize the word burnout as an adult. Now I know what that looks like. And I just made the decision in my mind without really consciously saying it out loud. I don't really want to play sports in college. I want to get a degree, and I'm the oldest of my siblings. Not many people in my family had college degrees. So that was a huge next goal for me. And stumbled alongside someone who worked for Alltel in Gurdon, Arkansas. I was a lifeguard at a country club pool. And this executive visited Gurdon, Arkansas, and I gave his kids through, swimming lessons and like taught them some swimming skills on the side. And remember just talking to him about business and what Alltel was, Fortune 500 company. And he was like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. So I put on my big girl pants and called him, and I'll never forget. He was like, what is your next phase of life? And I was like, I've decided not to play basketball. I don't know where I'm really going to go to school, but I think I'd like to come and work at Alltel. Is that a possibility? And he was like,
I love it so much. I love it so much.
He was like, really? Can you drive to Little Rock? I mean, Rebecca, in Bismarck, Arkansas, I didn't even have my own car at that point. I drove a pickup truck.
So are you in college, or you're
high school?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in high school, and I'm approaching graduation, and I'm like, I have got to figure out where I want to go to school. So for Gurdon, the colleges that most people went to were in Arkadelphia, which was like 20 minutes away. So instead of Henderson or like OBU, in my mind, I wanted to push a little further outside of like my hometown. I wanted to expand my horizons. Long story short, I went to Alltel, drove to Little Rock with no air conditioning in the truck in the middle of like the beginning of May. And I was about to graduate, and actually took a job. So one thing led to another. I took a job working there part-time for the summer, and absolutely loved it. I started in a little department in human resources as a benefits coordinator, and they didn't want to let me go, and I didn't want to be let go after the summer. So I went and looked at colleges really close to Little Rock, and I was so blessed that they let me continue working there part-time. Wow. And really created a schedule that was flexible for me. So I worked in different departments, and looking back over, that was an 18-year career. So from 1995, fast forward, I met my husband while working there, got married in 2000, got my real estate license and bought our first investment property, and fell in love with homes through that journey. So my husband left Alltel. He also worked there. We met there, truly, got married 6 months later, literally like fast forward. I did not know
this part of your story.
No,
okay.
No, my first
so y'all
date.
both had huge career changes. Oh my gosh.
We did.
Okay.
We did. And Richard, has
because how old are, you're in your, at that point, if you'd worked 18 years and then you're starting to look at real estate,
it's really, God had this journey mapped out, and I did not see it. Now being 46 years old, I kind of look at the map, and my mom has this conversation like, every step on the map, it all connected. And, looking back, even through the hard times, even through the good times, like I can so see how God's purpose in my life, like connected. every step of the journey from, meeting Richard. So I worked at Alltel for 5 years. It took me 5 years. I was kind of at the end of getting my college degree, met Richard in 1999. We dated for 6 months, got engaged, both firstborn, both super intentional people about like knowing what we want. Yes, we are. Your Enneagram stereotyping right now.
3 and 8 are coming out. Yeah.
Got married, and, he was like, I am not made to be in this kind of business corporate world setting. He loved parts of it, but didn't love being in a building. And really, he connects so much with like nature and the world around him. And he had been building homes, doing small projects on the side. So we had no children, we were newly married. I was like, try it, go into building full time. And if it doesn't work, we can fall back on my income. We're savers. We were taught by, the generation to save, save, save. So we kind of had a plan, and he jumped off into the world of building. He became an entrepreneur shortly after we got married. And then our retirement plan became, well, let's invest in homes. Like we wanted our goal at that point. Neither one were experts about homes, but when you think about a home, all aspects of the home. So that became our new hobby and kind of goal. Is we wanted to learn about every single aspect of owning a home, maintaining a home, building a home, remodeling a home, how to buy a home smart, whether it was our personal home or an investment home. And so that's kind of what we started doing
I love it.
while I worked at Alltel. And it was a good
I love hearing that, people think, oh, I need to have everything figured out, or my kids need to go to have everything figured out by 22 and, have a starter home and starter family by 25, all the things. And I love hearing a life pivot, and not to mention when you'd seen a lot of success at Alt. It wasn't like you were in a struggle place. Like you did it out of, no, I think we're going to do something new here, and something that feels more energizing, or more just something that is more of a driver for us and is going to work with our lifestyle. I love that, Brandy. And so then you got your real estate license, and did you partner with Jon Underhill immediately, or did you go, what did that look like?
So I got my real estate license. We built our first home. It was in Chenal Valley. And we actually did, I would say, 80% of the work ourselves. Like we laid the tile, we laid the hardwood floors, we painted.
Every time I talk to Brandy, I seriously find out something else. I mean, next she's going to tell me she has her pilot's license and she's flying them around the world. Okay, so you're laying tile and you're building a home in Chenal Valley. Okay.
And we loved it. We kind of decided that, I don't know, our moments of truth, we didn't ever have a plan on paper, but we are big communicators, and Richard and I, he dreams big, much bigger than I do. And so he, had this kind of dream, or this idea of investing in real estate. And so when we had first gotten married, he was like, we should put money in the bank account, have a savings account, but he's super financially minded. So his idea was, you love homes so much. While you're working alongside Alltel, why don't you get your real estate license, and we can invest in owning single family homes. Let's give people a home that can't either afford to buy one themselves, or that are going through a season of life where they just need, not to own, but to rent. Mm-hmm. And so that led to the first purchase of our first investment property, literally the same year we got married. And so that passion and knowledge, I've started catching up to him. I always kid him. He's 6 years older than I am. I love to say that. He's wiser and more mature than I am, for sure. But we love homes, and we, I don't know, over the course of the past 23 years, we'll be married 23 years this Saturday.
I love it.
That's what we do. So we work on homes. We don't view our jobs as a job. Like it's not, it's something we aspire to do. In fact, if anything, we have to, at this phase in our life, really be somewhat disciplined to try to balance all the competing priorities, because we don't look at work like as a job. We don't manage our time based on a clock. And so we have to intentionally, like, okay, how do we navigate balancing work with family and marriage and all the other things?
Okay, then for you, if you're, you're kind of seeing work and home kind of seamless, and I think that kind of happens when you do. I know you go into your office, but you also work from your home a lot, and so sometimes those lines, they do get blurred, and you're still at every game, and you're still at all your kid activities, all the things. I see you there all the time. What is it? Do you have something? I know you said you're a firstborn and clearly an achiever, but do you have like something that drives you? You said Richard's the bigger dreamer, but like, so what is it for you that you're like, I think it's, might be some people a competitive edge, or what does that look like for you?
I think it's changed. I think in my 30s, I was really driven to ensure, as I changed from working my career at Alt when it ended, and I went into becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner. I mean, we had lots of conversations. Richard was nudging me all the time. Like, really, Altel was amazing, and I loved my career there, and I might not have changed.
Yeah.
When Verizon acquired Altel, I kind of came, it was kind of a T, it was kind of the saying, a fork in the road. And I had to make some decisions. And my children, we adopted Isabella. And then 18 months later, I was able to finally, I got pregnant. And so my kids are 18 months apart in age. And being a mom became so instantly the most important thing. And I wasn't really prepared for that. I remember loving my career at Altel so much. And then immediately, like, wow, my career became not the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so I knew, like, I was traveling, I was leading marketing and advertising. And as nice as it was to have some really first grade, travel accommodations that were amazing, being away from home became a hardship for me. And so I quickly realized, my priorities have changed. So as I started talking to Richard about what that looked like, he naturally was like, I think you would love real estate. At this point in our marriage, we had sold and built our own personal home. And we had started acquiring more single family homes that we own as investments. And so we, naturally are definitely entrepreneurs at heart. He has Richard Harp Homes, a building and remodeling company. I've got Jon Underhill Real Estate. And then together we own this investment company that we own, single family homes in. And so I think for us, family has always been the most important thing. And in this season of life, we actually are working less, and we're okay with that in our 40s. So I mentioned my age. I'm learning that what we built in our 30s now, I'm being very disciplined with his help to say, how do we work in our careers? We still want to service the clients that entrust us with, their personal goals in business, but we also want to spend every minute and be present with our kids. I mean, this world is a hard place to live and grow up in. And so what we're trying to do is model, what respect and integrity and what working looks like to our kids, in hopes that we're teaching them life lessons about, as they prepare to enter that phase of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And especially in this season, because you have two in high school now. And
yes,
I'm right there with you. And so feeling like every season is so different with, little bitties, or that kind of that middle age of adolescence, and then high schoolers, where all of a sudden you start seeing the finish line and it looks like, I say finish line, but the launch date and where it is just, it seems like it's coming really, really fast. And so having that flexibility and the intentionality in spending quality time and moving more into that like trusted mentor advisor role with your kiddos. I mean, the conversations just look so different. And so I know that's special to you. And I love hearing that. What, is there anything that has kind of, you're like, yeah, this was hard in maybe choosing family over work, or just kind of like felt like where there was friction or you had to make hard choices or anything like that? Or has that just kind of, like you were talking about your mom saying, just the next piece was there? Or have you felt kind of friction sometimes, and any kind of words of wisdom to people that are maybe in those similar seasons?
I would say one of the most important things in my business to help my clients and to ensure that I'm balancing all the balls that are juggling in the air is just 100% transparency and honesty. And that might be about, if I've got a scheduling conflict and I need, flexibility. But I really believe that people are compassionate and especially when there are conflicts. And so in my business, my goal is to help my customers when they're purchasing or selling a home to not have, I don't want there to be a roller coaster ride. I want to be the problem solver and head off conflict as much as I possibly can. But in the world that we live in, and I just met with a new client this morning before meeting with you, and it was refreshing to hear them talk about they had a really bad experience before. And so one of the most important things I tell them, and I'm hoping my kids are seeing this, is you can always expect honesty from me, especially when I've got to give bad news, and not sugarcoating it, and, being super honest and transparent. And I think if you can have those conversations when there's conflict, it's not easy. And I constantly give myself pep talks before, like, how am I going to deliver this bad news? And already thinking ahead towards how can I help provide options for them, in resolving this, or what are their options or next steps if this doesn't end the way that we had hoped it does. And so I think in life, that's been a moral compass for me. And sometimes it's not a great outcome, but learning from that and growing and just always being super intentional with those conversations, people have a lot more grace for you and forgiveness. Even if we have to agree to disagree, you can do that respectfully.
I think that is wise counsel. I think that's very helpful. Okay. So like I said, I see you as a champion for your people. And one thing I appreciate about you, Brandy, is whether we're at a baseball field or a Halloween trick or treat party at someone's house, or just in Florida for dinner, you're very present with your people, which I think is a rarity for a lot of entrepreneurs and people that are just juggling a lot of balls in the air, because it's just, you're over, there's so many things on people's minds. And so I always appreciate that about you. Have you done anything that you feel like maybe this is between you and Richard, or just like kind of family, that has allowed you to create kind of spaces of quality time for your family? Because I know that's something that I just see y'all doing really well. Is that just something that's kind of learned, or you see a few things like, well, we're really intentional in this area because we've noticed this? Because again, with the kind of the high school season, what it feels like, at least in my house, is sometimes it's quality over quantity. Like it's more, okay, yeah, we're all together all the time, but am I having those like one-on-one conversations, or are we doing something fun or something that's like bringing us together? And I just see you doing that really well. And I just wonder if there's any kind of intentionality, or is this just one of your, super freak things about you that's also really great?
I want all the kids to be at my house when we're in Little Rock and, it's football season. I want everyone here. And it gives Richard and I an opportunity to be present and hearing about what's going on in my kids and their friends' lives. So we are often splitting up, taking people to games, picking people up, shuttling them. But we do go, in fact, this past weekend kind of went and got off the grid, and we went to a place we've never been to in Maybank, Texas. Like the four of our family, like I checked the kids out of school, and we kind of went and were off the grid. I didn't work at all. Neither did Richard. The kids were not on electronic devices, and I'm the same mom you are. Like we're all trying to make sure that we're teaching our kids by modeling it how to balance the pressures in their world and our world. And electronic devices are a real live thing. I mean, I'm connected to my device all the time for work, and so I think us modeling that and having fun with them and me being present with no makeup on and chilled. And, that's really important for them to see me in that environment as much as it is that when I'm in work mode, like I've got a commitment to a client that I follow through on commitments. And so I think that is in sense teaching them a work ethic of showing up for people, and when we commit to doing something, we follow through. You don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
If it empties your cup. But showing up and following through is super important. But no, in order to keep my cup full, especially with Richard, we are very intentional in taking vacations, and it might just be a 24-hour staycation, but we're intentional about spending time just the two of us and with our kids. And during those moments, we always plan our next adventure together as a family.
I love it. Okay. I love that. That's super fun. Okay. That is great advice, especially whether you're in it with, it seems whether have the older kids or you're kind of thinking ahead with the littles. I think that's a great, I think that's a great word. Okay. Tell me, when you think about your job and now, so how long have you been in real estate?
Well, I mean, I was doing it on the side for just Richard and I personally the whole time I was at Alltel.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let's see. So of the 18 years, 12, I was actually selling real estate or buying homes for us. But I've been the principal broker for Jon Underhill Real Estate. So I started out as a real estate agent and then became the principal broker. So it's been over a decade now. I should know that year off the top of my head, but it's not.
Come on, Brandy.
Coming through right now.
You said in the beginning, time was not your, that's okay. No. You've been doing it for a while. Okay. Well, I just wanted, what's your favorite part of your job? What's something you're just like, I love this part of my job? Even if it's not sometimes that's stressful. What's something you just really love about what you do?
So that probably has changed over the years, but today I really love being needed. My kids don't need me as much because they're getting independent and more self-sufficient. And so one of my favorite clients that I'm helping right now, he lost his wife due to cancer. I could tear up thinking about him. And I worked with his daughter at Alltel for my entire career, and my husband grew up with her. So now I'm helping him. He built his family home. It's amazing. He lost his wife, and now he's made the decision to move out of state to live near his daughter and her husband and their family. And so I'm helping him make that transition. So he needs me, and he needs me in a capacity as an older man that has experienced a lot of life and is experiencing a lot of change. And I've earned his trust. So I'm holding his hand and helping him to make this journey to the next phase of his life. And I love that. I love seeing. Well,
especially if someone needs you and you have a solution, like you're able to help them. If someone needs you and you gotta get, but you're like, oh, I absolutely, I got what you need. I can absolutely help you through this. I think that's, that makes total sense. That I can see that being a rewarding part of what you do, knowing you're helping people that need you like that. Okay. Tell me, let's say, so it feels like kind of, if you would have, maybe you talked about your fork in the road and, you could have stayed with this corporate career where you had a lot of influence. They obviously had a lot of trust and belief in what you were doing, especially with all the, hey, we're going to basically create a position for you while you go to school. We're going to hold this job. And you were kind of climbing the ladder, if you will. And so that feels like the safe American dream, like just going to stay on that. And then you said, okay, I'm going to take this risk as I jump into the entrepreneurial, road. What if someone is maybe considering something like that, or they're thinking, gosh, I see all this safety over here and I see risk over here. Do you have any just encouragement or for people that might be listening to that of just kind of starting an entrepreneurial career or, interest?
I would say find a mentor, find someone, ask them to serve as a kind of trusted advisor.
Yeah.
So, and I do that even right now. Like, you're one of my mentors as a mom. Like, I know I can trust you. I can ask you, what would you do if you were faced with this situation? Like, I think that's important in your life in all phases, is just having a good sense of support and community. And so finding someone that can also help you create a financial budget to find out financially, does this could this work? Right. And then making trade-offs. And so, I'm very fortunate to have a husband who had already done this before. So Richard was my advocate and my advisor, and he created our financial budget. And I was more concerned about failing later in life. One of my biggest fears was, okay, I've had this amazing, successful career where I had, climbed up the ladder. And so for me, like, what if I fail at this? And really actually researching and coming to grasp, like, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to give myself this amount of time. That if I fail, that's okay. I'll move and pivot in life. I have extreme faith, and just kind of looked at it like, I'm going to try this I gave myself 2 years. And I was like, I'm going to see if I enjoy this, because I really want a career that I love or like a lot. And if it doesn't work financially, or if it doesn't meet those needs, then I'll pivot and I'll find something else. I'll figure out something else. And I think that's we as women, especially if we're driven and we've been successful at something.
Yeah.
Taking a leap of faith to say, I'm going to try something else. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. It's okay to fail.
Yeah. I read something. I don't remember what book it was recently, but it was like, when something's not working and you take a risk, that doesn't take a lot of faith. Because you're just like, okay, I'm solving a problem. But when things are going well and you're seeing success, and then to make a big change, especially for an achiever, that can be terrifying. And so I think that's all really good counsel. And I think something that is also to keep in mind when you do have a mentor and a trusted advisor, and something that obviously you have with Richard, is someone that's a champion for you, someone that is saying, hey, I believe in you. And it's shooting you straight. No one wants false hype or anything, but it's like, hey, I see this in you. I see this in you. I see this in you. These are the intangibles on why you do have a leg up here, and why you're going to be successful, and why you're going to push through these obstacles. And so I think that's something with the people you surround yourself with, why it's so important, especially in a entrepreneurial space, to have people that are like, no, this is a hard day. Yep. This is an obstacle. This is a challenge, but you're good. And we knew stuff like this was going to happen, and you're going to be fine. So I love that about you and Richard's relationship and partnership, and how that has just, I think that y'all just have such a precious relationship. And I think that's wonderful, wonderful. And clearly that has led to success to have a partner. I mean, whether it's in business or how sweet that it's in marriage, y'all have common interest in champion each other in that way. I think that's so precious. Okay. As we wrap up, I'm just kind of like last thoughts or questions, especially for women that are listening and they're feeling like you, that they're doing the wife, the mom, the sister, the friend, the business owner, or the desire to do it all. And they're just feeling the weight of doing all the things. Do you have anything that's just kind of just some last thoughts on humaning while doing it all?
I'm a big proponent of growth, and where do I get my growth? So I would say surrounding myself with women and people that are smarter than I am.
Yeah.
So they teach me a lot from what, they've already kind of done X, Y, and Z. So I really think like continuing education, consultants, masterminds, like really surrounding yourself with people that are very helpful, that have already already been in your footsteps. And then you can also
maybe think a little differently than you do.
100%. And there's
might not feel good at first, but that actually is very helpful. Very helpful.
There's more than one way to do things. And so I think this world that I'm living in as I'm approaching 50, which is scary to me. My gosh, it scares me. I want to avoid potholes in the road, right? I want to try to avoid making mistakes at this point. And that's with everything, like in business with my, 2 children. So I think it's really great to be intentional and surround yourself with resources, people that also lift you up and help you to navigate the road and the journey that you're on. I think that would be super.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And I hope I'm that person for other people too,
I feel confident you are. You are a champion for your people. And I think that's something that builds influence. And even when you were talking about the parts of being at Alltel and people that you've worked with, even now, it's building those connections and building those influences and listening to people, being present. All those things are what create connection. You may not even know, not that you're doing them to benefit from them, but it's just such a sweet kind of human thing that you're able to help people. They're able to help you, and it forms those bonds. And I know that's just a big part of why you're successful, Brandy. So I'm so proud of you, and I love seeing you succeed. And I love that people got to hear some of your smarts today, because there's a lot of them.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I feel the same way about you, and I'm thankful we're on this journey together.
Yes. So, thank you. You just finished another episode of Wide Open Spaces. My hope is always that you felt encouraged as you listened. And if you found this valuable, will you share it with a friend today? Tag me if you do. I always love seeing your favorite takeaways. I'm so glad you were here, and I'll see you back next week. Same time, same place. See you then.